This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the one, the only Brandon Swanson.
Hey.
And we are back like we started again to do every week and talking a little baseball here on MVP. And last week we talked about the Mets. Go and check that one out. And we're kind of talking about the NL again. I feel bad for the AL because we're not talking about them for now the second straight week in a row. But we're talking about the NL today because the Dodgers had a little bit of piece of news that went on, Brandon. One of their big stars, Corey Seager, he will now miss the remainder of the year. He's getting Tommy John surgery on his elbow and his right arm. His collateral ligament. Yeah, which is basically your elbow, if I'm not mistaken, in his right arm. So they're shutting that down. Dave Roberts said it's a big blow. We just feel for Corey. It's something that he's had to deal with for a couple of years. The elbow finally gave way, and I feel bad for him. So, Brandon, I'm going to ask you, will losing Corey Seager, how will this affect the Dodgers season?
Well, it's gonna hurt him big time, because I think if you look at what Corey Seager has done for the last couple of years, he's been really solid, really consistent. Mm-hmm. Last season, 22 homers, 77 RBIs. He bats .295. He's over 300, 400 in slugging, I think he's like a 375 on base percentage. Slugging was like over 400. Mm-hmm. He's a player that gets on base, drives in runs, and plays his position very well. The Dodgers are losing all of that. And, you can slot in Kike Hernandez, you could slot in Chris Taylor, you could slot in any of those guys, but it's not Corey Seager. And the Dodgers season has already not started off well, as they're 14-17 in the middle of the pack in the NL West. And I think everyone, including myself and you, expected them to do what they usually do and just kind of boom, to the top and keep cruising. And so far, that's been Arizona. Mm-hmm. And not to say again that the Dodgers can't get back there, but the expectation is that they'll be back to the World Series. The expectation last year was they'd win the World Series. Mm-hmm. And this is LA. This is not a city that's not going to just be like, oh, okay, you're not doing well? All right. No, absolutely not.
Well, I'd be panicking right now if I was a Dodger fan because it's already, we just turned the calendar to May. And we're 7 games. I know it's not that bad, but 7 can then become 14, and then you're out of the race completely. You're 7 games behind the Diamondbacks, who look like they are for real this year in the West. They are going to be the team, kicks ass, takes names. I know the Dodgers were a team that I believe were in my World Series prediction and losing to the Yankees.
Correct.
Is what I had.
And I had them winning the West. So
yeah. Well, both of us had them winning the West. I had them winning the entire NL over the Chicago Cubs in the NLCS. And to me, the first thing I think of is not necessarily what this is going to do for the season, because let's be honest, it's muy mal, to say it in Spanish. It is bad. It is bad.
That'd be very bad in translation.
It is bad Bears. Bad news Bears, if we're talking about the Dodgers right now.
Bears.
And bad Bears. And the thing that I look at is I'm looking at their depth chart right now. What do you do just to fill that hole? Because right now I'm looking at the ESPN depth chart. Basically, here's what they got listed. As their backup and shortstop, they have Kike Hernandez listed, but they also have him listed as the starter at second base. The second baseman, the backup, Logan Forsythe. Oh, wait, he's also the starter at third base. So here's what I think is going to happen. You keep Forsythe where he is. You keep Bellinger where they are on the corners. Then I move Kike over to shortstop because he is the backup shortstop anyways. And then starting at second base, I don't know how confident I am in this decision, but based on who I have left, it's either Chase Utley, it's either Taylor, who's also the starting center fielder, so I'm not going to do that. And then you also have Farmer, who's the third string catcher, which I don't know if I want to do that and put him at third. So really what you have is I move Kike over to shortstop. Chase Utley now becomes my second baseman, and that's what I have to roll in with the infield of Bellinger, Utley, Hernandez, Forsythe from first all the way to third.
So this is what I think. Since that scenario sounds god-awful.
It's awful.
They've got to make a trade. They've got to make a trade. And a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of fans, before they actually realize how much they'd have to give up, would say, Machado, get him now. But he's only a rental. He's a free agent at the end of the season.
And according to the Outcast, he's going to be a White Sox next year.
Well, I'd like it. But what about going after someone that's a little bit more reasonable? A Jose Iglesias. The Tigers are going nowhere anytime soon. How about that? How about a Danny Hechavarria, the Tampa Bay Rays? There's a couple of affordable, what would be affordable options. You're not having to give up your number one prospects. You give up some mid-tier, decent prospects, but you always have to give up something to get something. But you do want to make one of those moves, especially the Jose Iglesias. Iglesias is a very good player on a very bad team.
Well, I think you're right, though. They need to make a trade.
They have to. They're really in no good position, as you mentioned in that depth chart. They're in no good position to really roll with that for the rest of the season. You can't. You can't roll with what you mentioned for the rest of the season and expect to win. That won't happen.
Right now, I'm going to throw out two names, and they both play for the same team. They're the same age, actually. And I want you to tell me what you think. Price, A, the price might not be as high. And two, this team has been a seller already. Some people have gotten mad at this team for how much they have been selling. Why not call up the Marlins? Why not try to work out a trade for either Starlin Castro or for a Derek Dietrich? And the only reason I looked at the name, I'm like, I can say it all I want. I'm just not going to come out right. But why not look at any of those? Because the two ways I look at it is with Castro, both of them are 28, by the way. Castro, under contract for this year, under contract for next year, and then he's got, I believe, a club option for 2020. So you have him for this year, next year, and then you can get rid of him. For Dietrich, it's basically this year, and then he's on arbitration the next 2 years. So you can say, at that point, if we want to keep him around, we have the flexibility to at least have him on arbitration where we can try to win that hearing and get a salary that we want for the next 2 years before he becomes a UFA. Basically, either or, you have them on lockdown for this year. Next year, probably. The only thing is that third year is an option for both of them as well. So you at least have them for 3 years if you want it, and it may not be a big cost to your team trade-wise. The Marlins might be, especially a guy like Castro, might be looking to get his 10.8 this year, 11.8 next year, and then that 16 won't matter because you can cut him and not take the option.
Going back to Jose Iglesias, same age, 28, and he is a free agent at the end of this season.
Okay.
So
that makes better sense than this.
Again, that's a guy. Him. Yeah, you don't necessarily. He could literally be a rental and at an affordable price, and you have him for the rest of the season, and then he goes to free agency. But he's been in his role. He's done what he's needed to do, and again, this is a guy who can get on base, has some speed, can play his position well, can even get a little bit of pop.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly the type of guy that the Dodgers they need right now. You're not going to find Corey Seager. You're not. No. You're not going to get him. But
you need to find someone better than Chase Utley.
Well, and
because right now Chase Utley is your replacement, and I'm not playing Chase Utley at shortstop. I'm playing him at second base.
And I think Chase Utley turns 60 this year. So
I thought it was 80.
I don't know if he's the best option. So
it's weird though. I will say, then this is off like that on Chase Utley, but off a little bit. It's weird seeing Chase Utley with gray hair.
Yeah,
it's weird. Like the Chase Utley I remember, Phillies, not a gray hair on the head.
No.
It's weird seeing him with a little silver fox going on. But back to what you were saying.
Just that I think that right now the Dodgers, there really can't be a whole lot of panic. There just needs to be action. And I really don't see them being able to move forward and be successful in the infield without going and making a move via trade?
Here's the thing I look at, and I'm going to bring back up the big guy again, the name that you mentioned, and then you quickly kind of push to the side. Why not try to swing for the fences for the Manny Machado? And the reason why I say that is look at the main positions, and I'm not looking at pitchers, but you look at most of their positions. When you look at catcher, Grandal, he's a UFA at the end of the year. So is he gonna want more than that 7.9? Can you get him for a bargain? If not, you got Barnes and Farmer are still under team control for a year for Barnes. Farmer has 2 years. Cody Bellinger, you have him under team control next year, then 3 years of arbitration. Forsythe, he's a free agent at the end of the year. Chase Utley's only $1 million, but like we said, we're kind of looking for an option other than him. Justin Turner, the Ginger Delight, he is under contract for the next 2 years after this. Then you look at the shortstops. Seager, he's arbitration. Coming off of Tommy John surgery, I don't know how much, here's the thing with that. He's coming off of arbitration. Chris Taylor's probably going to make a little bit more than his $575,000 contract right now. However, with arbitration with Taylor, we don't know what the contract will be. Seager, though, that'll be interesting. Right now, he's making $605K. However, with arbitration, what are the Dodgers going to want to offer him? What is he going to want? What is he worth? Because we know his ability. However, coming off of Tommy John surgery, how does that play into it? If you can get a bargain on your arbitrations, I mean, Kike is also going into arbitration. Jock Peterson is also going into arbitration. And then for your pitchers, Alex Wood is the only one in arbitration, and then some bullpen guys as well. If you can position these arbitration deals, this is a team that does have money, with Magic Johnson kind of being the main guy on TV backing it. Why not go for a Manny Machado with the idea of, hey, we can trade for him this year and sell him the LA life and the money and be able to pay him, because we can kind of cut corners in these arbitrations and maybe deal some guys some less money. I know it all depends on if you win the arbitrations, but pay some people less money to make that room to get Manny Machado long term.
Well, certainly Manny Machado is not going to be signing any long-term deals right now. He's waiting until free agency so he can get the biggest deal.
Exactly.
That's what he's going to do. But I guess I just don't see. Yes. Would that be the number one thing that you think of? Let's go and get the very best guy to be able to replace this guy. But does it really make sense going long term? Corey Seager, I believe, is the guy that you want to have on that team. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say he's the face of that team because it's Kershaw, but he's a household name. Mm-hmm. People love him. People love Corey Seager in LA with the Dodgers. I don't think that you ruin that by bringing in a Manny Machado, where then it'd be like, well, Corey Seager, see you, bye. We now have a new toy. And we're tossing you to the side. We got something better right here.
I'm going to cut you off really quick because here's the thing. Like I mentioned, Logan Forsythe, unrestricted free agent after this year. Here's what I'm thinking. There have also, if you read some articles around, there's a little bit of question with Manny Machado, what position he'll want to play on the new team. And the one reason why I bring this up is like the Outcasts. When they talked about Manny Machado coming to the White Sox, Brad, or Buzz, is one of the guys who is kind of an get off my lawn is how I think about it, where it's basically do as I say. Like, I'm paying you to be on this team. You're going to play where I tell you to play. Where he's basically like, I'll put you here at third base. I'll put you here at shortstop. You'll play where you want to play. With Logan Forsythe then being off the books, what you could then do if you get a Manny Machado, and of course, this is easier said than done, but I'm still going to bring it up to kind of talk it through. Yeah, we get Manny Machado. For this year, he plays shortstop. Then sign him long-term after this deal's over. So in the offseason, you sign him long-term. And then your infield becomes Bellinger at first, Kike Hernandez at second, Seager at shortstop, Manny Machado at third. Okay, and you just slide him over to third base.
So here's the whole problem. who are you giving up to get Machado? A lot. A lot. And who's going to be asked for in that deal? Guys. They're going to ask for Walker Buehler, and that's not going to happen. Never, I don't think, have the Dodgers given up their top prospect. Since they were bought in 2012, I don't think the Dodgers have ever given up their top prospect.
Here's the question, though, and I'm glad you bring that up. With this team, right now, beginning of the year, expectations from us was win the West. For me, it was World Series again. Best team in the NL. Would it be like, are they in a, I'll compare it to my Cubs. The Cubs were in a mode where it was like the Aroldis Chapman situation and the Mike Montgomery situation, basically when we traded for bullpen help for that season. Are the Dodgers going to sit there and make a similar move like the Cubs? All right, New York, we're going to give you these prospects. I don't want to give you these prospects, but I need a bullpen. I need a closer. I need a Aroldis Chapman. All right, I don't want to give you Vogelbach, who everyone is saying could take over for Anthony Rizzo, which is crazy because Anthony Rizzo is going to die a Cub. But here you go. Here's Vogelbach. We're going to get Mike Montgomery. Are the Dodgers willing to do... Yeah, it's a little bit different of a situation because injury will then have caused this. Are they willing to do the same thing? Are they willing to give up a prospect, could be their best one, in order to get something that could get them over that World Series hump and could win them a World Series? Because let's be honest, right now, with this injury, yeah, it could only be for this year, but they're trending like the New York Mets from 2015. Was it 2015 I'm thinking about? World Series. And we're gone. Do you want to be like that, or do you want to finally get over that World Series hump? Am I on? The Mets were here, and then not in the playoffs.
And we're gone. No, my whole thing is that you don't want to... I don't think you want to necessarily change the whole face of your... franchise. Or your franchise because of one injury. You just want to fill that void. And I think that, again, look at the Dodgers in terms of their money. They weren't able to get Giancarlo Stanton. They weren't able to sign Yu Darvish. They had to have been paying some pretty good money, but the Cubs, stupidly, after, again, his recent pitching performance, which I am looking just golden on my thought that
we'll
was
see at the end of the year.
He's like 0-4 or 5. He's
Doesn't matter
awful.
how you start. It all matters how you finish, Brandon.
Well, he's going to finish like he started.
Let's see. We'll see.
Okay, but this is not the Yu Darvish hate podcast. That'll be later.
That'll be every other podcast.
But they weren't even able to acquire those guys. I don't necessarily think that they have the money, or really the money that they want to put into just one player.
The resources.
Again, it's all about, why would you hurt yourself, potentially, just to fill a void that you could easily do by getting more of a Starlin Castro type, a Jose Iglesias type, where you don't have to give up the top prospect and you have good reason to not. You can say, hey, we're not going to give your top prospect. It's Jose Iglesias. It's not Manny Machado. Iglesias is good, but he's not Manny Machado. Which Machado, by the way, is leading the majors with like 368 batting average. He has 9 home runs.
Exactly.
And all that stuff. So he's doing pretty good, which is even more reason why the Orioles could say, we want everything. We want everything for him. But again, this goes back to the Dodgers do need to make a move. They need to do it, I think, externally. I don't think they have it internally. They certainly don't on the major league roster to sustain the rest of the season. That's not going to happen. Again, could it? Could they do it? And they only win a couple of games? Yeah, sure. But that's if you want to be mediocre. And the Los Angeles Dodgers, for certain, do not want to be mediocre.
Question I'm going to ask you here right at the end. Does this change? Because for me, it does. Diamondbacks are winning the West. Does it change your prediction for the West? As I boost up my chart because I think I went down during this podcast.
No. No, it does not. Just like,
so you still think the Dodgers are going to win the West?
Just like, yes. Just like I still believe that the Washington Nationals are going to win the East. But right now they ain't winning it.
But they ain't dealing with a big injury.
No, they're not, but they're dealing with ineffectiveness.
Yeah. That's easier to overcome
But the Dodgers, though, and I'm going to stick to it. I'm not going to change like you, flavor the weekie.
Flipper?
That's you. You're a flipper.
Flipper?
The sign of something bad. No, I'm not going with them anymore. I've changed now. No, I'm holding with the Dodgers. But the problem with the Dodgers is that not only do they have the Corey Seager injury, they have sucked. They have been awful. Their pitching has been less than stellar. Kenley Jansen has been god terrible. Clayton Kershaw can't win. They've been really bad. Uncharacteristically poor performances all across the board for the Dodgers to start the season. But 14-17, they're creeping up to 500. They hit that, and they could spark. And again, the Diamondbacks could hit a rough patch and start losing some games, and all of a sudden, the playing field is leveled, and the Dodgers are back in first place. But right now, they need to figure out what they're going to do to fill the void with Corey Seager's injury, and they need to figure out how to win some games and start getting things together, because right now, they are not rolling. Dodger
fans may not want to hear this, but if I'm the Dodgers, I make a move for Manny Machado. And the reason why I do that is, right now, if I was a Dodger fan, I would be panicking. And the reason being is, of course, it's early in the season. And, like, whenever I listen to, like, the Outcast talk Cubs, and it's true with the Cubs because it's like it almost every year, is it's early, don't worry. Like Juice said, he goes, relax. He's like, Aaron Rodgers, relax. It's going to be okay. Dodger fans, don't relax. Something needs to change because of this. Because yeah, it's early. Some teams are going to fall out. Mainly, I'm looking at the Mets that we talked about last week and maybe like the Giants maybe or like the Pirates or something. But other than that, there's the Cardinals, the Brewers, the Cubs, or you know what, the Phillies. I'll throw them. They're a team that's going to fizzle out as the season goes on. But like the Cubs, Cardinals, the Rockies, I think are for real right now. There's a lot of teams, Pirates, Giants, that I feel like the wild card race in the NL is going to be so jam-packed this year to where it's going to be just win the division. We have to win the division because if we don't win the division, there's a chance we lose a tiebreaker in the wild card and we stay at home. Or it could be, and I would love it because I love this situation, all right, we've got the Pirates need to do a playing game with the Giants, to do a playing game with the Cardinals, then the wild card game with the Brewers. I would love something like that, where it's tiebreakers, and it's like, all right, the Pirates have to play the Giants to win that tiebreaker. Okay, one-game playoff done. Now, the next tiebreaker, the Cardinals, they got to play another one-game playoff. Winner of that then gets the wild card to play like the Brewers or something. And I think there's going to be so many teams in that NL that somebody's going to get left out, and if the Dodgers don't make a move, they're going to be that team that gets left out. But this is where we want to...
I was just going to say, again, the Dodgers can make a move. But if they go for Manny Machado is the type of move that you try and go for and trade in MLB The Show when you have budgets off, when you don't have to worry about it, and it's who cares? I got him. That's all that matters. I don't care that I can't sign anyone come this offseason. I got Manny Machado for this year. That's only in a video game. You can't do that in real life because you will really significantly hurt your finances and hurt your franchise. So I just, as much as it would be really great for them to go get him, especially the way that he's playing right now. And he could probably tear the cover off of NL pitchers. I don't think they can do it. They cannot do it, but they do have to make a move.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in the comment section. The Dodgers, what move do they make? What players do they target? What does this injury mean for them? Let us know what you think down below in the comment section. Some housekeeping here at the end. Make sure to check out patreon.com, link in the description to help support MVP. You can also get your MVP t-shirt down below in the description as well. MostValuablePodcast.com, where you'll catch everything for MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, go on to Apple Podcasts and Apple iTunes. Give The Onside Kick, Primetime Podcast, Fast Break, Rick and Johnny Podcast. Want to thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Want to thank you guys for listening on podcast services around the world. And as always, have a good day, everybody.